Hey, welcome to John Talks. I'm John Carr. Today we're going to be talking about VPNs. A little bit later I'm going to tell the story of why I use a VPN, but first I'm going to go over some very basic information about VPNs. Because they're a craze right now, there's a lot of false advertising and a lot of false information about them and around them. VPNs aren't magic. In simpler terms, they encrypt data sent from your computer to their server, where it is decrypted, then sent to wherever it was that you were trying to connect to. And then when wherever you're trying to go to goes to send you the data back, instead it sends it to the VPN server where it is encrypted and then sent to your home computer where it is then decrypted and ran whatever process it is trying to do. Pretty much, it's a middleman transport system. It can hide what's being shuffled around, but it's not magic or anything like that. Ads have been showing up for VPNs like crazy, and the question of what VPN to use comes into question, or whether or not you need to use a VPN at all. The answer is, it depends on what you want from a VPN, and no, in the majority of instances, you don't really need a VPN. Also, a lot of these ads pose the VPNs as though they were some sort of security suite, claiming that they can prevent malware attacks, phishing, even cyber attacks, which those terms are so general that they might be right in some instances, but for the most part, no, it is not a security suite. The data that is passed along to your computer is decrypted, then ran. If there's a piece of malware within whatever it is you've downloaded and ran, the VPN isn't going to really do anything to stop that. But dang, those are some really scary computery sounding words, aren't they? Though a security suite with a VPN built in is an interesting idea, and some companies such as Kaspersky have been doing it, and other companies are going to be following that pattern, that flow. As for what VPN to use, that's kind of based on what you want. If you want safe data, you need one with a really good encryption scheme. If you want your history to be hidden from major companies looking in on your data, then you're going to want to switch to a more secure browser. Not to anger the Google gods, but their browser mines data by design. So not the greatest to use if you're trying to keep all your data to yourself. And for those of you wondering, no, incognito mode is not a superb stealth field protecting your data and everything within. Then on top of that, you'd also want to find a VPN that doesn't keep data records. And I'm sure you've all heard that before. It is also to note that the majority of VPNs have been verified and they've been tested by third parties. So if you're actually wondering if the one that you're using or the one that you're planning on using is any good, you can generally Google it and get a third party verification of whether it's good, bad, or somewhere in between. The majority of the time, though, a VPN is not really needed. Just keep in mind that Amazon or Google or whoever is going to be kind of looking over your shoulder at key terms and for key phrases so that they can try to sell you the newest, iPhone or Android device or whatever. So now that's a lot of the way. I'm going to talk about why I personally use a VPN and how much it angers me that I have to use one just to continue to use the internet now as I used to just a few years ago. So I'm a Canadian citizen, and about 7 or 8 years back, might be more now, time really has been passing rather quickly in this stagnant era, there was a big deal about keeping net neutrality. I support the idea of keeping the net neutral, and when the bill in Canada that was going to stop neutrality died, I was happy. But me and the group of friends around me knew that if the government really wanted something like that passed, it would get through eventually. Through small side deals, bill amendments, and, well, eventually it did. Because the people of the country don't decide the laws for the country, the representatives for the people do. Whether the people like it or not. Great logic, Canada. Very well done. Now, ignoring my anger over that bill being passed, for the longest time it didn't really affect me because I was using a smaller internet service provider who was buying bandwidth from a bigger internet service provider. The small one didn't really care enough to track all the different types of data being moved through its service, and because of their deal with the bigger one didn't really have the right to interfere with any of that data. But time moved forward, bigger ISP bought smaller ISP, and I was forced to switch to bigger ISP services and immediately noticed faster speeds, smoother browsing, more connection uptime, and longer load times on non-approved sites. Much sense. Faster speeds means things take longer to load. By the way, it is to note my ISP considers Crave and Hulu to be unapproved sites. Apparently they hadn't paid them enough money to get onto the whitelist. So goodbye Star Trek Discovery. Hello Spinny Wheel. Eventually I begrudgingly got myself a VPN that wouldn't keep records and had a breakthrough China firewall level encryption because, well, the company I'm going through has a bit of a reputation, so might as well get the biggest cannon. And it was all just so I could have the internet I had a few years ago. So would I recommend a VPN for general use? Not really. Most of the time, you'd be putting a speed cap due to the VPN servers as well as a time delay for data sent and received as it encrypts and decrypts the data as well as it makes the additional hops through the VPN server. Though if you are really worried about your personal data being leaked or sold, it can help with that. But mostly I recommend a VPN if there's noticeable throttling or other problems to sites where there shouldn't actually be problems. And hey, on the side, you also get access to great Russian Netflix. Or American, Canadian, Australian, really whatever country the VPN you're connecting to has servers within. I hear there's actually some pretty good stuff in Indian Netflix, although I've yet to actually try it. It angers me to no end that I have to spend additional money to actually get the full internet service that I'm paying for, just because my ISP decided that Crave isn't paying them enough money for them to bother to keep the damn connection open. It's infuriating. For those of you wondering, this was not sponsored or anything, but the VPN I use is Viper VPN. They had a 3-year deal for dirt cheap last Christmas, and they don't keep log files, so yeah, they're a plus for me. It was something like less than $1 a month. Anyway, hopefully now you know a bit more about the actual usability of VPNs, and well, I've been John Carr. Peace.